This morning First Alert Weather Show is brought to you by Sam Bernstein Law.
Good Tuesday morning, Mid-Michigan. I'm First Alert meteorologist Matthew Mondro here with First Alert Forecast Weather Show. It's your morning update. We'll be talking a little bit more about some quieter weather that we have ahead in the forecast. Also some milder weather too, because we do have a little bit of a pattern change here for the week and potentially into next week as well. And I will say here, kind of interestingly, I think the temps will be the big story again, just because there really isn't much else going on in the forecast. Even this morning, we had some drizzle that at least tried to move through our area, and that was what we were talking about in the forecast yesterday, was that drizzle or some wintry mix. It showed up on the radar, but it never made its way down to the ground. The dew points were about 10 degrees lower than the air temp, so that just means that the air was too dry. That dry air really just was allowing any of that drizzle to evaporate before it could reach the ground. Yesterday evening, when Chief Meteorologist Chris Easlick left, he told me that nothing had reached the ground yet. And then even when I came in earlier this morning too, and I was checking the ground reports at the airports across the TV5 area, they still weren't showing a single drop of rain or any sort of drizzle either. So we have avoided that, and we'll say kind of a good thing too. Certainly a nice change of pace after a lot of the slick and the icy roads that we've had over the last few weeks. So I don't think anybody's really missing the drizzle or anything like that too much. But really from here, we're just going to hold on to cloud coverage for the rest of the day. I'll take you right over to US 10. That's at the Fabiano Brothers building between Midland and Bay City, right near Mackinac Road. Looks pretty pleasant out there so far. It's definitely quiet. We are just holding on to the clouds. Now I will show you though, there's Flint. That's in Flint Township, I-75 at Miller Road. We've actually had a bit more sunshine there throughout the morning so far. So pretty decent start to the day in Flint, and the lowest temp that you saw in Flint was about 25 degrees, so no single digits like yesterday morning. Thanks to the sun there and a little bit of a southwest breeze right now, even though the wind will turn to the northwest, that's helped to just keep some of that milder air around. I'll go ahead and show you the current temperatures too. Also some fairly impressive numbers already. 38 in Owasso currently. We have 35 in Flint, 37 in Lapeer. I think Owasso in particular, one area that will reach 40 today. I think that's very much possible for Lapeer. And even into Genesee County, while Flint still shows 35, that's at Bishop Airport. I do think some areas around Flint, around the metro area there, but even Fenton, for example, right at southern Genesee County, I think it's very possible that you see 40 by the afternoon too. We're still below freezing up north, 26 in Houghton Lake, and in West Branch we have 27 in Oscoda. But again, these temperatures will just continue to come up here more as we go towards lunch and as we go into the afternoon. And we should be able to see these numbers reaching up to about 39. And at this pace that we're going, again, I think 40 is going to be possible for many of our southern areas, pretty much if you're south of Birch Run today. So definitely an unseasonably warm day. Just a nice change of pace, though, from how we've had all that bitter cold recently. The average high today is 30. Now, that number does vary a little bit depending on location, but today is expected to be about 10 degrees above average as far as the high temps go. And as we look ahead in the forecast, we are tracking some more mild weather by Friday and the weekend, especially mild for this time of year. And even as we go into next week, the pattern is also suggesting that we also may hold on to some of these unseasonably warm temperatures. There will just be sort of a quick dive in our temps as we go into tomorrow and Thursday, but now we're saying a quick dip in our temps because it's all kind of relative. After a day like today where we're almost at 40, it will feel cooler tomorrow, even though we have a high of only about 30 degrees. So it's still not going to be bitter cold for tomorrow, but at 30, it's about 10 degrees cooler than what we're expecting for today. So kind of an up and down here for the midweek, and then by the weekend and next week, we do have that warmer weather on the way. I'll show you that here in the 7-day forecast just to put some numbers on this. So we do have in the First Alert 7-day, 30 again coming in for tomorrow, and then right near 30 on Thursday. We have a high of 29, but in the sun, it may feel a little bit closer to 30 as well. But then we're back to 36 on Friday, upper 30s on Saturday and Sunday. We do have 40 on Monday, and I do think with Saturday, Sunday, Monday, all 3 of those days, we may even have a little bit more room for some upward adjustment of those high temps too. So again, turning a bit more unseasonably warm for the weekend, and as we start next week, Tuesday next week, we should also be able to see 40s on a bit more of a widespread basis across our area. Essentially what's going to happen is over the weekend, this ridge of warm air builds right over the central United States. And then by Monday, you see how that ridge starts to move east towards us. And then Tuesday is kind of right where we're at the peak of the ridge. So Tuesday should be the warmest day of next work week, at least with the way things look right now, because right after that, starting on Wednesday, we do have a little bit of a breakdown in that pattern, potentially some system coming in on Wednesday, but just kind of that long-term outlook into next week is certainly supporting a greater chance for some milder weather to continue to hold on. And even the temperature outlook also highlights that greater probability of above average temperatures for next week, or at least a good portion of next week too. It is still February after all, so of course there is still some time that throughout the rest of the winter we do see perhaps another blast of cold air, which some of the real long-term data is suggesting that could happen at the end of this month. However, we're running out of time for the rest of the winter where we could even possibly see a really large cool down like we just had the last few weeks. So again, while I still think it's possible we have another cool down, at least for now, the forecast is really just going to hold on to some unseasonably warm weather through this middle section of February. So that does include the Valentine's Day forecast this weekend too. I'll actually take you back over to that 7-day forecast again, because if you do have some plans for the weekend, maybe you have some Valentine's Day plans, actually looks like a pretty decent day on Saturday. Partly cloudy, 38. Again, some of those temps may come up just a few more degrees on Saturday, but either way, looking to be a pretty decent day. And then Sunday, that wintry mix potential, that is just barely holding on by a thread at this point. Only one of our forecast models out of the several that we use is still holding on to some wet weather there on Sunday. So I think there is some real possibility that we end up just removing that chance for wintry mix on Sunday. Of course, we'll monitor that throughout the remainder of the week, but certainly, again, not looking to be a great chance for wet weather on Sunday as of right now. So if you take that out, very dry 7-day forecast. We just have that 10% for today. And for tomorrow, that's just to account for perhaps a stray sprinkle or a stray flurry, especially tomorrow, the potential for just a stray lake effect flurry, but that chance is going to be pretty low. We'll go ahead and take a quick break here real quick though, and when we come back from the break, we'll take a look at that hour by hour and talk just a few more things in the forecast. All right, welcome back from that break. So as we just kind of round out a few more things in the forecast here, we are tracking a pretty quiet stretch of weather from here, not only for the rest of this week, but even as we go into the weekend and potentially early next week as well. I do want to take you over to the First Alert hour by hour just to show you, again, we were mentioning before the break, there's just a 10% chance that we're leaving in today and tomorrow for perhaps just some very stray sprinkles or a few flurries. That chance again is very small. So if anything, we just hold on to more of this cloud coverage for the remainder of today. We see more of that mostly cloudy sky also even as we go into the evening and tonight. More of a northwest wind takes over. There's just a couple of those flurries popping up on the hour by hour. So again, pretty small chance with that by the end of the daytime today. And then as we go into tomorrow, just a few more lake effect flurries are going to be possible. But given the dry air that we have currently here too, that's really going to fight against some flurries like we saw this morning with the drizzle. So overall, pretty dry forecast as we go forward from here, and then especially by Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, we should even be able to see some more peaks in sunshine too, some breaks in the clouds towards the end of the work week. Now with these temps coming up above freezing during the daytime, that does mean that some of those roads, maybe if you live in more of a residential area that doesn't plow, where you just kind of pack things down, that will start to melt up throughout the remainder of the week. Roads will be a little more slushy as a result of that in those spots. Just keep in mind with temps falling below freezing at night, any of those slushy areas are going to refreeze, but really just temporarily for the night, because say for example, towards the end of the week on Friday, we have a high of 36 and then we'll fall back down to about 20 or the low 20s on Friday night. So slushy areas would refreeze. And then by the time we reach the upper 30s on Saturday, that'll all just melt again. So just something to keep in mind, but really that's pretty isolated to just residential areas and neighborhoods as of this point. All of our main roads, our freeways, state highways, those have been in great shape thanks to the dry weather as of recently here, and especially because of the sun that we had on Sunday. That really helped to kind of dry up some of those remaining trouble spots on any of our main roads. So I do think as a whole, travel will be much better as we go throughout the remainder of this week too. But that's about all we have in the forecast for you for today. Kind of a short update, but again, really quiet forecast from here. I think the big thing for today will just be the fact that we'll be coming close to 40 degrees for the afternoon. But if you have some time today, just be sure to tune in at noon, because we do have First Alert meteorologist Diane Phillips. She'll be right on air on TV5 with the forecast, and then she also has another First Alert weather show, another live stream on all these same live stream channels coming up at 2 o'clock today as well. So be sure to tune in here in a couple of hours. But hope you have a great Tuesday morning. Hope you have a great remainder of your day too. Take it easy.